mustn't be victims, but protagonists of our stories.
I heard that you stalked Steve McQueen for this role, basically.
I did not stalk him.
I'm kidding. But you did passionately want to get this role the minute you heard it announced.
Yeah, again, I didn't know specifically what the role would be, but I just knew that he had something to do with bringing Caribbean culture to the BBC. I was like, I wanna be involved in that. I don't care if I'm a tree. I don't care if I'm the person going to run off to get the curry spice. I want to be involved. So that was in 2015, and yeah, here we are.
I mean, it's really incredible, both like you and John coming to it, because I know you guys both did like the same preparatory like acting program, and like now to like really tell these Black British stories on such a global audience. And it's something like that's universal over here in America. Our stories don't get told. So talk about what it's like to bring a story that maybe people know about, but they don't know in detail.
Oh man, again, you would only know about it if you were a part of that community in Notting Hill at that time. It's not on a global scale, but we're pushing it out there right now, which is so great. It's great to be able to have this opportunity to be represented, your culture being represented within mainstream media. Steve just being bold and just being man enough to stand by his word and say, this is in his heart 15 years ago, and to see it through right to the end is beautiful. So it's a treat to come to work and see people that you connect with that share the same culture as you. It's just a beautiful treat, and just proud that this is now being broadcasted to the world.
What's really incredible too is it's not just one story, it's several chapters, and it really gives an in-depth sort of like narration of this particular community throughout the time period that they were not seen. But in doing so, you're playing real life people, and that's like daunting as well as I would assume very invigorating. But what was it like playing homage to the real life woman that you're portraying, and how difficult was it to balance?
Again, that was like, you're constantly thinking about the script and thinking about the words that you have to say and the scenes that you have to do, and constantly checking in with Steve to be like, are you sure how I feel or say something like this? Because you want her to be proud. You want her to feel like, you correctly represented her, because this story is now taking the forefront to be, showcased. So you carry that. It's a little bit of nerves when you carry that. It's great because you're not just having one story being told and pushed to the forefront. You're getting several different stories that you didn't know about. So it's just something fresh, it's something new, for us right now in 2020. But, these are stories that were buried and hidden for years. So, it's important. It's important that we share it.
These are new types of human beings.
Of the entire sort of small acts anthology, yours is the only one that's based off of like a completely fictional story, and dance and music is just such a huge part of it. I was just curious, was that daunting for you guys as the cast to know you guys got to pull off these amazing dance numbers?
Definitely. At first, I think it was more of the fact that it wasn't based on a true story that we were quite like, oh gosh, But afterwards, when we understood it, and we understood that this episode is an escape from the frustrations from watching the other films, because I myself haven't had the chance to see them yet, but I know what they are about. And, I can imagine they're very hard hitting. So it's almost as if our episode is a house party in itself of being able to escape. Yeah, I also think it's still, even though it's not based on a true story, there is still people's truths. I spoke a lot to my mum and my dad, and it's still relatable. It's still their truths. And there's going to be so many different moments that people go, oh my gosh, oh yeah. I know my dad watching it, and something as small as the guy is banging against the wall in the party, and my dad was like, yes, 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 So it will still definitely relate.
Yeah, and big ups to, Steve and the entire like production team, because the one thing I know is like I wasn't living in the 70s, but I lived for that time period. And although it was like a huge like 60s and 70s, huge point of unrest, it also provided some of the most incredible like music and dance, and Steve like lived in that. So talk about him really sort of immersing you guys in this world, and then also like how it was just working with him, because I know he's a director that gets great performances from his actors.
Oh, he's incredible. definitely, so our one is the early 80s. And with Steve, he's so open and trusting of his actors to bring what they have to the table. We also worked with an incredible choreographer called Coral. And her thing was she got the supporting artists, for example, before we started filming, she got them in a room. She said, it's not enough to just have them in costume. I need to blaze some music. I need them to understand this energy that needs to be had for this film. They need to know it. So I think even just doing that, it was like, there was no, to me, we were all together. It's not about leads or supporting. Everyone was just together and as a whole in that. And she got us proper on the dancing to understand how different the dancing was back then, and to understand that it's heavy in your feet and it's grounded and you're connected to the earth. And I think that is obviously why Steve asked Coral to come and step in, because he really wanted us to understand it's not just about just dancing to dance. It means so much more. It's, again, people releasing their frustrations, letting things out, feeling it in their body. It was so beautiful to be able to experience that.
Yeah, and like you said, yours is the only one that's not based off of history, but it still hits within the whole vibe of the anthology over several decades, this idea of beauty and art in the midst of social and political unrest. And although yours leans more in the entertainment and the things that people did to escape, all of the other stuff is like so still there and a part of it. And I'm actually curious though, since it is more centered in on the dance stuff, if you have a particular moment from a dance movie besides yours that you like say, like, because I always think to like the She's All That dance moment, like that's just like a random dance moment in a teen movie, but I love it. I wonder if you have one of those that you particularly love.
Mine would be the dance in Death Proof. Have you watched Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino? Her saucy dance, like that's who I love Tarantino, and I love that dance has always stayed with me.
They are leaders, but are rooted deep among those they lead.
Playing real people, there's always like a legacy and a lot of homage you have to pay to these real life historical figures, but then also try to tell a compelling story. So I'll start with you, and then Malachi, if y'all can talk about portraying these real life characters and how you approached it.
Well, fortunately, I went to drama college. What does that mean? And I know, so it's a weird place to answer this question, but actually it's not, because I went to drama college. So what does that mean? Well, we were taught a method of being able to access ways and means to explore different energies and psychological mathematics when it comes to portraying whatever it is that is portrayed in the mangrove, in Frank specifically. So, what do we know? We know that this is a historical thing. We also know that this is not a pain that is unique. Frank is not the first and last person to essentially suffer abuse as a result of the color of his skin. So we know that. It seems to be an ancestral cry, or something. Maybe not an ancestral cry, but it's about that feeling is about. So we know that. Daunting, yes, because you got to take it seriously. But fortunately, we were built for that. We're actors. It's not that it's no biggie. It is a biggie. In having to play these roles, but fortunately we went to these places and we've studied life enough and we've studied human nature enough to be able to, when someone's like anger, pain, frustration, abuse as the result of certain factors fortunately we got a lot of that stuff in the back pocket already, right? All of us, you, Malachi, our parents, so that's not easy, but that's useful. And then what you have is the idea that says, yeah, but this is not now, this is then. And what does that mean? It's the same shit, sorry, but it is. I see this, it's the same, it's that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's problems throughout the diaspora. And then Malachi, if you can go ahead and talk about, again, playing the real person too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you have some of the characters in the Mangrove 9 that didn't have, I guess, I don't want to use the word fame, but Darkest Howl was known. He had a TV show. He was actively involved politically. He was a known face, and so there is a lot more documents on him. There's a lot more videos on him, you know, where you can actually see him speaking and expressing himself. And so for that, you know, there's one thing playing a real person, and there's another thing playing a real person that is known to a community already. And so there was a weight behind it, even though I knew very little about Darkus at first. There was a weight to kind of get this right, as there would be for every character, to be honest, but more so for him, I guess, because he, like I said, my mom knows who he was, you know, she grew up watching him on TV. And then you have to remember, as Shaun's saying, that you're an artist, you know, so, you know, he is a person that existed, but so should every character that you play. You should approach them in the same way of like bringing a truth and a light to this person that was previously unknown, or at least unknown in part, and telling their story. So it was approached in the same way.